So, how do I, as a young architect, determine my fee for the first time?
Very hard. Very hard, very hard. And you ask 10. I mean, we still find ourselves sometimes scratching our head saying, okay, how much should we charge? That's so difficult, the question, because in India, we don't have any standards. We do have what they call prevailing rates and market rates.
But who made
But
those?
yeah, and those are also all over the place. And, you know, and it varies between the stature of the architect. And so, and I think for the first 2 years of practice, we were always like, how much do we charge? We are so good. Uh,
Hmm.
How can we charge the same as, this architect? We do so much. We work until 3 in the morning and we work with so much passion. We research and we do this and we do that and we do all these mock-ups and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter, honestly. Clients don't honestly care about all your background. That's for you. That's what we realized. You do it because you enjoy it. Let's not
Hmm.
get carried away. The client cares for what is built. That's why
Hmm.
clients respect the Mestri, the contractor, more than the architect.
Yeah. So they can see them actually working
They
there.
bang their head and their head will break. It's like there's a wall. If you just say, it's a beautiful wall, it's like a bunch of words, mumbo jumbo. They're like, enough. I heard enough of your stories. That's why
Yeah.
architects, I didn't realize it. I always think of architects as victims, right? Like we are victimized. We are like these underdogs. People just take us for granted. And why do people always trick us? And why are we this? We were paid less than IT professionals. We're paid less than everybody. Even the bricklayer makes more money than us. The tile layer charges 40 rupees a square foot. Why are they paying us 50? What clients see is different. This is what my big aha moment in my well into my 50s. They
Hmm.
actually see you as a guy who comes and talks a lot and makes these stories builds these stories in the air.
But
10 lakh mein kya mila? Honey, all we got is this 45 drawings. The 10 lakh? Look at the contractor, he's built the wall. I can go ram my head on the wall. Like, it's tangible, it's feeling. You can touch it and feel it with bricks. We are like building stories in like virtual world on a piece of. When you're done, you give them a set of drawings. And they go, oh, for 10 lakhs, I got like 45 drawings. So you have to remember that clients don't always understand the value of your ideas, your research, your fights, your debates, your precedents, and your options and all of that. They just see a bunch of drawings and think, why am I paying 10 lakhs for a bunch of drawings? I want to pay 10 lakhs for a wall. So the wall will be, I can touch it and I can feel it and I'll be living in that house. I think not all people are like that. I think the people who really understand the creative process know that the architect creates these ideas and it takes a lot more. But a lot of people are not very sophisticated clients. They don't understand the process. So part of it is we have to do a better job of explaining to them the process. But I think, um, really just being honest and being as empathetic to their needs, that's the key.
but again, I mean, how do I determine the fees? I mean,
The
how much should I
process.
charge?
Yeah. So I think, look, what we do is we understand what the prevailing rates are because the client also is going to do that. They'll talk to 5 architects. Will- They will say, okay, he's charging 100 rupees a square foot. He's charging 110. This guy is charging 90. So, TK, 100 is the ballpark. And if you say 150, it's like simple. You go to buy vegetables, you're buying tomatoes. How much? 20 rupees a kg, 21, 25. And one guy says 50. You'll be like, okay, why is it 50? Oh, these tomatoes are imported from New Zealand. And they're big and they have more calcium, whatever. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm willing to invest 50. But if you're not able to
Justify that.
justify, quantify, you are stuck with being in the same boat as the other architects.
Hmm.
So what we have done is we have demystified that and we said, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it's insulting, some of the fees.
Hmm.
It's insulting because by the time you open a laptop and close it, you spend that money, right? It's already over. The fee is over. But it's okay. We will miss this and there will be another project that comes. So, but what we do is we try to go with the market prevailing rate because after 2 years of positioning and sitting on a high horse and saying we are very good, so we will charge more, it doesn't help. I think ultimately you're measured up to the market. If you do a great job, that's good for you. Pat yourself on the back. But the fees, you need to be comparable with the rest of the world because that's how the world works. It's a capitalist society we live in. So people are going to compare you. Ultimately, it's a supply and demand, right? There is a demand, you're supplying a service, right? Be competitive, no matter how good you are. Now, God willing, there'll be a day when you'll be so good that people are willing to pay your premium. For whatever reason, maybe you're extremely talented, maybe you do expensive, maybe you do things cheap, construction, whatever. They will pay you because ultimately it's about value.
Hmm.
You, but when you're building your practice, you can't sit there on a high horse and say, I'm very good, so I'm going to charge you this much. I'm not going to work for less. You need to price yourself at market rate so that you really create business. Otherwise, you're shooting the foot because they will love you, they'll do that, they'll like your work, they'll all. But when it comes down to it, people really think twice before spending a premium. They'll buy a handbag from Louis Vuitton because they can wear it around in parties, uh, but they will not see the value in hiring an architect for a little premium. When you're buying a car, you'll be like, should I buy this or Mercedes or this? Because it's like tangible, it's your asset. You can show it off, you can put it in front of your house. And but when it comes to selecting architect A versus B, they'll be like, so you need to unfortunately compete and hopefully get good enough where they see like I want to work with this guy, even if he's more expensive. I'm doing. I don't know if that happens, but right now we'll just do the work. We do the work, and we'll make sure we don't lose money. At least
That's important. Yeah.
that's important, and you need to pay your bills. So you need to be fiscally smart. You can't be stupid. But you can't be too greedy also because the day will come. The day will come when you will probably prove yourself and you around you. So
As a young, like as a fresher practicing architect, you know, um, what, as we said, right, you have to at least break even. You don't have to work at a loss. So, how do I evaluate that I am working at a loss or I'm working at a profit? And how much profit is required for me to function?
there are larger firms that have very, very well developed tools to do that. I work for very, 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 the largest. So we have very, very sophisticated software. But I think as young architects, you can also do it. It is a simple Excel. It's called a work plan. There's a lot of speculation, but if you err on the side of caution, you can get pretty close. I'm not saying we do this for every project. After a while, you just learn by instinct whether the fee will work or not. And again, like I said, there'll be some projects where you'll make a little bit of money, some where you'll break even, some where you'll lose. It all kind of evens out.
At least one needs to be keep aware of it, right?
So what we do is we take every employee in the office and calculate a billing rate. So if you are paid 50,000 rupees a month, you're a young architect. Your billing rate is 50,000 plus all the overheads. So you know to run your office, you need rent, you need AC, you need laptops, you need software, you need blah, 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 power. You take all of that monthly if you want, calculating monthly, divide it by the number of employees
Hmm.
and add it to the 50. And you know that this is the amount I need to make out of this person.
Hmm.
Now add whatever a healthy profit, which is 20% or whatever. Then you got a billing rate.
Okay.
Right. Now you got a project, a house, 2-bedroom house, a 4-bedroom.
Hmm.
And you say, okay, I'm going to put architect X whose salary is 50,000, but the actual billing rate is 95,000 with all the overheads.
Hmm.
And she's going to work on it for 1.5 years.
Hmm.
So 1.5 years times the billing rate.
Hmm.
Then architect Y is going to come in the beginning, but drop off in the later part.
Hmm.
Be working only 3 hours a week or 3 days a week, whatever. So you create a work plan
Hmm.
with billing rates to the
Hmm.
best of your ability. It's always good to be a little more cautious and fill in a little buffer for eventualities.
Hmm.
In the end, you add 5% contingency or whatever. Okay. And you see, you know exactly, not exactly, of course, you never know anything exactly, but at least you're able to the best of your abilities, guess this is how much. Oh, and you're the principal architect. You're going to meet the client. You're going to talk to him on the phone. You're going to go to the site. Okay, your billing rate is so much. So you add
Hmm.
all of that, and at the bottom, you get a dollar or a rupee amount.
Hmm.
And that is something you should make in order to at least break even or whatever. I mean, since you put in a profit
Hmm.
and you say, this is my good fee. That's one way to
Hmm.
say, okay, now clients will ask you, they won't ask you for lump sum fee. They'll ask you per square foot or whatever.
Hmm.
So you got that number, let's say it's 1 lakh rupees. You
Hmm.
got a project that's 1,000 square feet. So you divide 1 lakh by 1,000 and you get 100 rupees a square foot. That's one way to
Hmm.
do it.
Hmm.
That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to go with whatever market. You ask your friend and say, hey, what's the prevailing for an office interiors? Oh, around 15 to 100. Okay. IT people will pay you a little more. Small. Okay, so you price it somewhere. And then you know what your fee is and you know how long the project is going to go. And then
Hmm.
you staff it accordingly.
Hmm.
You're like, okay, I have so much fee. These two architects, her salary is so much. This guy's salary is so much. I can put 4 hours of his, but I can put 10 hours of hers. And for the next 6 months, this
Hmm.
project will run for 6 months and it might work. So it's a little bit of a, if you want to be cautious, I think you can do a little bit of those kind of things.
Hmm. Right. So any of the approaches will work depending upon the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. And so there is also another thing wherein when you have to justify your fees as a new architect to a client, sometimes it so happens that people reduce the scope of work. This I have seen happening in the market, right? So what are your thoughts on it? For is that a suggestion that you would good give?
So we face that too. So it's not,
Hmm.
if we say, if they like you,
Hmm.
uh, but they feel your fee is too high, but they like you. So they'll say,
Hmm.
You're doing lighting, design, you're doing landscape, you're doing acoustics, you're doing furniture, you're doing signage, you're doing branding, and you're doing the interiors, and you're doing architecture, and your fee is this much. What if you only did architecture and interiors and don't do all the other things? We'll figure it out. Can you reduce your fee? And we say no because the way we practice is we do everything. We do signage, we do lighting, we do acoustics, we do we can't can't let go of, because it's a whole story, and that's a whole different discussion for another day. But we think of architecture, the built environment as one continuum. And so the idea that somebody, I mean, of course, we trust professionals for acoustics and all of that, but we at
Hmm.
least have a design intent for acoustics. Like we
Hmm.
know where the sound should come, and we know how the light should come. We know these things. So if they say reduce your scope, the truth is we're going to give it no matter what. Even if they say reduce, it's a very smart thing for clients to do because they know that we will give it anyway. We don't
Yeah.
let go of anything. So we are going to give it no matter what. So it's a little bit of a hard situation, but yeah, it happens a lot. They'll say,
Hmm.
okay, I saw in your proposal all this scope, but your fee is little high. Can we reduce some scope and can you reduce the fee? My answer is no, because we cannot, your project will not be complete without all these things,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So let's not get into scope. You tell me what is your comfortable fee. I'll see what. But I don't
Yeah.
like to reduce. Personally, we don't reduce scope. We
Mm.
won't let, take everyone to signage. We will do
Yeah.
signage because that's how we design. When we're designing your space, I'm also designing your signage. That's the kind of architecture firm we are. So even
Yeah.
if you tell me don't do it, I will do it because that's a process.
Mm.
Don't do lighting. Hello, how can I visualize a space without lighting? I'm
Like,
going to do the lighting intent.
yeah.
So even if you take it out, I'm going to do it. So I'd rather not bargain on the services and the.
Mm.
I'd like you to tell me what a comfortable fee is.
Mm.
We'll work with you, or we'll try our best to work with you. So that's our
Mm.
take. We don't reduce, because if you do, then the lighting will be bad and that project is useless because you can't even put it in your portfolio. You have a beautiful office and the signage sucks. And signage can also make or break a project.
Yes. Yes.
And the landscape looks like shit.
Mm.
Bro, the building is nice, but we have to enter through this really ugly landscape. So
Mm.
we'll do a disservice to ourselves, our own work. So we
Yeah.
rather control all the things we want to control,
Mm.
even if it means that we have to bring our bottom line even lower.
All right. So if I were to summarize this converting potential clients into clients segment, first thing is always prepared for the first meeting. Empathize with the client, try to understand what his or her aspirations are. Try to be very honest with them, leave a memorable impression to the clients, leave some food for thoughts for them to think about. What do I want to build? Why do I want to build? Do I even need this? Then also try to draw a line, if try to understand if the client is actually willing to move forward with you, or is he just wasting the time. But don't be too dramatic. Try to be humble, right? And then how do you determine the fee? You first understand what your running costs are for the project. How much profit are you looking at? Or are you willing to work at a break even cost? Or are you willing to work at a lower cost? And that's how you determine the fee. One way is that. One second way to go around is you try to understand what the market values are, what the market rate is, and then you try to fit in available resources according to that.
Yep.
Okay, great,
It's a good summary.
great. So Diwakar, that was the end of segment 2. So post-verbal commitment, the next step is to document everything, right? So we talk about contract and legalities here. So basic question, what documentation is necessary for me to have in place before I begin a project?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. In America, you would say a contract with the American Institute of Architects. In India, I don't know. We do. I mean, we have clients who write a contract on a bond paper. We have
Yeah.
clients who just call you on the phone and say, get started. We have clients who do something in between where they will sign a piece of document. We have had clients who took the document and threw it in the trash and said, you either trust me or not. Your contract nahi chalega. So all kinds of things exist, I think, but it's good to have something written in a piece of. The truth of the matter is, if somebody wants to take you for a ride, they will. You can't go around chasing them in the court of law for the rest of your life. You have projects to work on. So we've had a lot of people with contracts not value them, without contracts value them. We've had people. So usually some of the contract clients we work with have their own formats. They send us and we sign them. Of course, they take our scope and they make us write the scope. They put our terms and conditions and they sign. They insert it into their contractual agreement. Sometimes we have clients who are not very sophisticated because they don't have, they're like residential projects. So we write a contract, which is essentially our proposal. At the bottom, we say agree, sign the client and architect, and That's enough for us. That's enough. And but I think it actually becomes very important when you're young, because that's when I think a lot of the problems occur. So it's important to write something, and you can tell the client, look, if you don't have a contract, it's okay, I'll write one. It's a piece of paper that says, here are the services I'm offering, here is what I'm charging you for, and here is the payment schedule. And I'm going to get paid a concept, and here is what concept means, here are the deliverables. So to clearly write what concept is, all your milestones, based on your payment schedule. You say, I'm going to get 20%, 30%, whatever at concept level. You should say concept is blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you a render, I'm going to give you a floor plan, I'm going to give you an elevation, whatever, at concept, and you're going to give me 30% of the fee. And I think that document that you can write, maybe 4-page, 5-page, 10-page, whatever, clearly outlining your deliverables, your milestones, and the percentage of fee. If you have all of that, and if both parties sign it, that's as good a contract as any. Of course, if it's a very big project with very sophisticated clients, then you'll need a lot of legal involvement. But if you're a young architect starting out, chances are you're working on smaller projects. It makes sense to have a contract because it shows a certain amount of professionalism. You're respected. If the people will like roll their eyes saying, what the heck, you don't trust me type of thing. But it's still okay to say, look, I understand, but let's keep it professional. We would like to just keep it on a piece of paper. And here is what I am going to give you. Here is what you're going to pay me for it. And please sign this document if you agree with it. That's fine. I think that's fine. Most people will sign it. Some people will say, I don't know how to write a contract. That's when you say, okay, I'll write it for you. Can you sign?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty straightforward document, as an architect. You should know what you're going to give the client at different stages. And you should be able to, once you agreed on the fee, the client should be able to sign the document. There's no reason.
And I think the contract also must have a refund and exit clauses, right? So
Yeah, I mean, we honestly don't get so detailed with our contracts, but yeah, I think you can have, I mean, it's easy to just find all this language online. Either party decides that they don't want to go forward or whatever this
in
follow.
15 days, you have to give a written notice, etc.
Never done any of that.
Mm.
We've never done anything of that. I'm not saying don't do it. So I don't want to ever suggest that you should not have. But ultimately, what matters is the trust and contracts I don't know. I don't want to say anything negative about our legal system, but I don't know what I would do with a client who didn't value my contract.
Yeah.
Take it to court? Like I
I've had some
I don't even know which court to go to. Like, what do you do? I have to focus. I don't even have enough time to focus on the work I have. Right? I would just say, some people don't understand.
But I think, what a general statement is, like lockers or locks are for the right people. It's not for the thieves.
Yeah.
So exactly the same thing.
It shows your professionalism. It shows the profession. I mean, I'm by no means suggesting anybody do anything without a contract in this day and age. But it's, at the end of the day, getting too finicky about the words. You actually scare sometimes some people, right? Like a simple homeowner, they'll read all this like 15 days and all that, and they'll be like, oh my God, this is scary.
So basically, so maybe, a toned down version of a contract wherein you have your payment schedule written that after, this slab, I'll get this much money, like that.
Right. I mean, that's pretty good. Ultimately, it's hit or miss, but hopefully it's always a hit. So yeah, I think you need to build the trust, and I think part of the thing we don't do well is show clients why they need to pay us and the value we bring. That's where I would spend my energy saying, look, we think about psychology, we think about function, we think about your kids, we think about all these things. And what we're designing is coming from all of that and not just squiggly lines. Please understand that. I think You have to keep on telling them that.
Mm.
Telling
Right.
that. And that's when they will respect you. And when they respect you, they'll not defraud you. They'll pay you.
Hmm.
But if somebody is listening to all that and saying, I'm, gonna, I'm doing what I want to do. So, but
Hmm.
to have a piece of paper, at least to
Hmm.
have some recourse.
Now, I want to understand what kind of payment schedule I should have as a young architect. I do have some idea, but let's assume we are talking about a small residence, maybe, 200 or 250 square feet. Example, a two-story structure. So what, I mean, I know it's very small for
We
you.
do,
Yeah.
no, we do such projects too. We do, I'm telling you, we design a spoon, do a
Okay.
business card for somebody.
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
Business card.
I want to keep the conversation relatable to.
Right. No, we do small projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Do a lot of small, do like we're doing like apartment interiors, like for 2 bedroom, like 4 bedroom. We'll do small
Right.
things. We'll design a book for some non-profit.
Hmm.
Just to, like, we'll do the full layout. So no, we do all, and I love doing all scales of project, at least personally. So
Hmm.
your question is not irrelevant to us. We do that. So see, our payment schedule is very, very simple. Initiation fee
Hmm.
at the start of the project. Then before you put pen on paper,
Hmm. Hmm.
to get this conversation going, we need this initiation fee, or you can also call it advance fee, whatever. Then we have,
Token money.
yeah, token money. I think people call it different. But
Mhm.
to get the project started, I need X percentage of the fee.
Hmm.
Then my first milestone is concept design.
Hmm.
Clearly tell them what they get at concept, and we say X percentage at concept design. Next, this is an American system. In India, they don't do this, but we do schematic design.
Hmm.
So concept, as you know, is the overall vision of the project, rough floor plans, 3D renders, animations, blah, blah, blah. Enough to
Hmm.
give the client a full sensibility of what the project might look, what the areas are and all that. Then schematic design is when we start getting the structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and all those consultants involved, and actually making the building something meaningful from a buildable standpoint, constructible standpoint. So at the end of schematic, we have a fee. Then DD, which is design development,
Design it. Yeah.
which we have most of the building materials delineated, most of the details are articulated, not to the last screw, but enough to understand the guardrail is steel, the stairs are concrete, whatever, all those materials. So DD is like 80% what we call CD, which is construction documents. In India, we call it GFCs.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that, and then finally GFCs, right? Um, so that's right? But we actually follow the US model. In the US, the architect does not walk away after the drawings. So we offer what is called construction administration. We're not PMC. We're
Hmm.
not managing your construction.
Hmm.
We will not leave you. We will not let go of the project until it's built. So we save 10% fee for what is called CA until when the building is completed. So after GFCs, we have hopefully been paid most of the fee, and then like last bit is set aside for the 1 or 2 architects who will still be answering questions, going to the site, going to the factory for mock-ups, reviewing site conditions, whatever. So the
Hmm.
last payment would be upon completion. So
Hmm.
those are typical milestones in the US,
Hmm.
and that's what we follow here.
Okay, so for this scale of residence, around 25.
Be
Hmm.
pretty much the same. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe because it's a smaller project, I would skip one, which would be schematic design. But otherwise, I mean, if it's a very small project, we go 50% in the beginning, 50% at the end. Like it's a
Hmm.
small, like a graphic design project, and we do a lot of those. You just say, I'm designing a business card. It will take 2 months or one
Hmm.
month, depending on how much we engage. Give
Hmm.
50% at the beginning. When it's done, you give me 50%. So that's a whole different story. But for an
Hmm.
architectural project, even if it's like a 2-story house, I
Hmm.
think that makes sense. I mean, clients see they're proper milestones, right? So clients see the value in paying.
It's okay, okay. And how many site visits, like generally, do we have in this kind of scale?
Yeah, again, I mean, I'm not a good person to ask these questions because we just say,
No, you
what's
talked
the
about CA, that's why I'm asking.
yeah, but we don't outline all of those things. We say, they ask us, how many options will I get? We say, as many as it takes to make you happy. Because we are here to make you happy. I know it sounds stupid. Some of your listeners will probably say, oh, this architect is giving us bad advice. He's making us vulnerable. The truth is, you can't win the battle of trying to be, politically and contractually. You will do the project until it's right. Some clients, some contractors need a lot of hand holding, so we need to go to the site very often. Some contractors are good enough where they take the drawings and for the most part understand. You only go to check quality. Some contractors cannot read the drawings. You put black laminate, he'll give you white laminate. What do? You can't really do that. So ultimately your project is going to get messed up. So you have to go to the site. So we don't get into all that. We say our job is to give you a great project
And that's what we deliver.
and the client is happy. You don't get into this first week of this month, I'll come this way. We don't do all that. We're like, boss, come down, give you a great house, do what it takes. Love it. Clients love to hear that because they're like,
Yeah.
thank God. If you start saying, I'll only come that day, they'll be like, oh my goodness. So they'll be like nervous.
Yeah.
We're in a game of love. I mean, this is a relationship.
Yes.
You can't win this
That's right.
game by contracts. Of course, when it gets really sophisticated with a huge, high-rise building, yes, there is no room for all this. But if you're a young architect, if you get into all this, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Again, I'm not suggesting you be taken for granted, but if you get into all this nitty-gritty,
Yeah.
like if I were building a house and I'm not an architect and I met a young architect who puts out all these conditions, I'm like scared,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Right. Right. You need to build trust first. Yes.
Yeah, you need to build trust and the rest is cakewalk.
That's right.
They
Agreed.
trust you, they will take care of you. You constantly pretend like there's a wall between you guys and it's all super, super professional and all that. They'll be like intimidated because your clients are also not that sophisticated when you're starting out.
Yeah. That's true.
Architect. They should feel like you're their friend and there's no contracts between friends. That's not to say every client relationship will be like a friend. I know that. I know that it's easier said than done, but you need to approach it as such.
Yeah. At least you have to have the right mindset to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Just last two questions. One is, how do you resolve conflicts with clients?
I mean, it's a tough one because there are different types of conflicts. There are conflicts that are more, there are many types of conflicts, and building a house or building a building is one of the hardest things. Unfortunately, you can go buy a car, you can go, buy groceries and come home, but building a house is or a building or any architectural project is a very, very complex. There's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of approaches, attitudes, philosophies. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a construction industry that is a very underdeveloped, unprofessional, not just in India, but in India for sure. The plumber says he'll come on Monday, he'll show up on Friday, whatever. I mean, it's a very messy field. And so there is a lot of conflict. Sometimes clients blame you for somebody else's fault. Sometimes they blame you for something you haven't done. But anyway, so how do you resolve it? I think it's like any relationship. How do you resolve a conflict with a friend, with a spouse, with a father, with a mother, with a parent, with a child? I mean, you need to open up and communicate. Saying, I know you believe this is your point, and that's why you're not happy with the situation or happy with me. But the truth is this. That is it. I mean, this is why we did it. Please hear me out. I would like an opportunity to actually explain what happened here. I gave the drawing. The drawing clearly shows it should be stone, but the guy did with brick or whatever. See the drawing. I mean, it's really good old communication. I mean, conflict resolution. This, for us, for me personally, not us, for me, I'm a little bit of an emotional person because for me, my work is like, you know, or my baby. And so I will tell the client like, oh my God, how could you do this? Like this should be this, why did you change it and all that? So, but you have to remind yourself that ultimately it's their building, it's their space. You're but an agent. There's the carpenter, there's the painter, there is the tile layer, there's the bricklayer. Oh, and there's okay, let's be headed about it. We are just one of the many entities that make the building. And so conflicts for them, it's like they have to live in it. So people put a lot. Some of a house or a building is sometimes your largest investment, right?
Yeah.
They put in years and years and years of savings into it.
Yeah. And it's only a one-time thing for many.
Many one time they have saved, they have, they have not gone on vacation, they've not indulged in all these things because they wanted to save and build this house. And now there's a lot of emotions riding on it. So you need to be empathetic and understanding of it. And when they're blaming you, they see you like, okay, how did this happen? Okay, fine. It's very easy to say, I didn't do it and get defensive. You have to also think that they are putting so much of their life into it. And so I think it's important to be level headed, and I don't think there's anything wrong in calming things down and communicating and discussing and going, talking to them. And sometimes people will listen. Most times people will listen. Sometimes they won't. They think of you as the problem. But you have to do your best to communicate. I think if you start out well, there's fewer chances for conflict. But conflict will be there. There hasn't been a project that we worked on where there's
No conflict.
Yes. Because there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of sweat and blood. If your project doesn't have conflict, that means something's wrong. Either the class doesn't care or you don't care. But if everybody cares, then there will be conflict. Any relationship, I can't think of any relationship, a parent, spouse, conflict. So conflict will be there. You have to take it in your stride. It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. But it's like any relationship, it will hurt a lot. You need to be articulate, you need to be patient, you need to, all those things.
Empathetic and humble.
Humble never hurts.
Yes. Sometimes you have to be stern also, yes. That's true. But most of the time,
Honesty and integrity and having a good clarity, logic, that's it. There's no, I think you have to tell them the truth. No need to sugarcoat it. I think it is what it is. We are doing the best we can. Sometimes stuff happens, what do you do? So many pieces to the puzzle. You don't know whose fault it is. A lot of times we recommend some vendors because they're nice people, honest. And if there's a delay, we get a client calling us saying, your vendor is delayed. Like, hello, he's not my brother. I just recommended him because you needed somebody trustworthy. It's delaying because of whatever. I can't be responsible for that. Just because I recommended somebody.
Yeah.
So it gets scary when you have to recommend someone.
Yeah. So basically, communicating everything very clearly is the key to resolving conflicts. Yeah.
In every relationship, not just client relationship.
Yeah. That's nice how you compare.
Be solved,
Yeah. At least giving it a try works out well. It might work out well.
Yeah, definitely. than not trying, not trying.
One last question. As a young architect, how do I ensure that I get timely payments? Because people do take you for a ride when you are young, when you don't have a legal team backing you, and
Not just as a young architect, even as an old architect.
Okay.
I mean, I tell you, I went to the US. I go often. I met my ex-boss at SO. So
Hmm.
it's 1936,
Yeah.
huge company, and I don't know how many offices. 15. They literally built all the half the high-rise buildings on the planet. And I go there and I meet him, and he goes, "Hey, Steve, how are you?" And he said, "How's your practice?" And our practice was new at that time. And I said, "Oh, it's very tough. In India, we don't get paid sometimes. And if we do get paid, we don't get paid on time. And it's hard to keep the salaries and keep the cash flow and this and that." He goes, "What makes you feel?" And I said, "That's because we are a young firm." And he said, "What makes you feel it's true only for young firms?" And he goes, "Remember the project you were working on 8 years back at SOM or 10 years back?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "I'm still chasing the client for the money." So this problem exists everywhere, Diwar. I don't think it's only for India or only for,
Mhm.
it happens everywhere. And I'm like, wow, a firm like SOM also struggles. Yeah, what do you think I do from the time
Mhm.
I show up at work? I'm on the phone trying to get clients to pay us. It's not
Mhm.
unique to young people. It hurts a lot when you're young, right? Because you don't have deep pockets. But
Yes.
when you get older and you have a bigger firm, you have the cushion to absorb the ups
Absorb
and
the salt.
downs.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, just because you're bigger, just because your clients are bigger. In fact, he said, bigger the clients, the harder to extract the money, right?
Hmm.
Their accounting team will like. So it's not
Yeah.
nothing
No, the
to
process.
young or old is what I realized. So, no. But it's to do with how much you can kind of take the ups and downs and how you can weather them. It's not really whether, but yeah. So I think if you're again, what can you do? You can tell the client, look, I don't have very deep pockets. I don't have a huge bank balance to wait for you to pay me in six
Mhm.
months. For me to keep my wheels running, I need you to pay me so that I can eat and I can feed my team. Yeah. Team. If you're alone, you say, look, I have to pay my bills. And I'm asking you with respect, deep respect that, I be paid for me to continue working on this project. And I think it will be very hard for people to not listen to that logic, if it's true. And I mean, I don't think they're begging at that point. You shouldn't have to beg. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I think to be able to tell them that there is a reason you're expecting money at a certain time.
Mhm.
That's really important. And so I think these conversations should be had before when you're signing the contract
Mhm.
and tell them why there are milestones. Because look, we have spent enough effort for concept, so we need to get paid for concept. If we have done enough work in schematic, we have to pay. And it's very important that you pay us at those milestones so that we can continue working.
Mhm.
Otherwise, how will we run the firm? I think
Mhm. So, what if the client does not have that kind of empathy towards the architect? And even after, clarifying things, they do not pay. Do you suggest? I mean, there are hard times.
Of course, there are. I'm laughing because, like, you're saying, what if? It's the law. It happens a lot. It's not what if, it happens a lot. I think very few people wake up in the
Hmm.
morning, say, and decide that they'll trick you and they'll cheat you. I
Hmm.
think most people, you know, are good people on the planet. Most people want to be legal and moral, and nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to screw this architect today. I don't think the world is against you. I'm an optimist. But sometimes they don't see value in what you're bringing. That's what I realized. Because we see perfectly nice tax paying citizens, religious, respectful, wonderful family values, wonderful morals, all of that, will not pay you. And you're thinking, why? You're paying everybody. You're paying your grocer, you're paying your hairdresser, you're paying everybody. But when it comes to an architect, why are you struggling to pay? Why do you feel like when I call you, you can turn off your phone and not me? I think finally, I think I broke some ground on that because they're nice people. They're dropping their kids at school, they're paying taxes on time, everything. But when it comes to, because they sometimes feel like they're not getting value. So it's our job to tell them that, look, this is what it costs for us to do the design. We sit at night, we sit during the day, we brainstorm and we come up with ideas. We don't just pull them out of thin air and draw them up on a piece of paper. It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So the more, I mean, it's just because you say that people won't necessarily understand it, but you need to say it enough times where they fully understand it with the honesty. But it happens. But I don't think there's an answer for what to do. You have to just appeal to their best side and hope for the best. Not very
Yeah.
promising, but I think in the end, like I said, right, in the end, I'll be very honest. It is a lot scarier when you start.
Mm.
I tell you, very scary.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights, blood pressure, you know. If you think I didn't, I mean, trust me, when the 25th of the month was approaching, I would be like shivering. My hands would be shaking because I have all these people to feed.
Mm.
I have to pay all their salaries. These young people from Assam and from Madhya Pradesh, and they're all working here, young architects. They're living in Bangalore and they need to pay their rent on time. We didn't get the payments. I'm calling the client and I'm saying, can you please send the payment? I need the payment. I know it's scary. It's scary. It is very scary. It's still scary. It'll never, I don't know if it'll ever get better. The only thing is as you get bigger, as you get more experienced, you can plan things a little bit better. You have a little bit of buffer. So you're not like literally month to month. You're 2 months to a month. You're in 3 months. You keep able to ride the wave up and down. Just have enough. But also, I think, like I said, when you start growing in stature, when you start becoming a little more established, clients will respect. You will naturally ward off the bad apples, the bad ones. They will be scared to come to you because they won't take you for granted. They won't take you for a ride because you also don't come across as being so desperate and so gullible anymore. And that's not an act, that is a reality. Now, I am not by any means suggesting that you should take it lying down, but I'm telling you the hard reality. So just hang in there, put your head down, keep working, be positive. If you're cynical, if you're skeptical and cynical and you're like, oh, the world is what it is. Optimism helps. You have to get past the first 2 years. There'll be a lot of ups and downs. Okay. Keep your sanity. Don't be shocked. I was shocked. Well, like, how come? I did the work. Like, I worked all night. How can you do this? Shh. Now I'm like, okay, calm down. Calm down. Shit happens. Calm down. It's okay. Don't panic. Okay. Don't hit the panic button yet. Just calm down. Take a deep breath. Take things in your stride. Keep working. Don't lose faith because there will be a day when it'll get better. There is no magic bullet. Solve everything on day one. That is the struggle of a new enterprise, whether it's architecture or some other business. There are going to be ups and downs. But if you can hang in there and endure that, the good days will follow.
It's also a common suggestion that if the previous milestone payment is not completed, you shut the work down.
Yeah. There are firms that literally, we used to call it pencils down. The payment didn't come, the whole team would be taken out of the project.
Yeah.
So, can we do that as young architects?
I mean,
Your nephew who's
that,
an architect.
it also, But Diwakar, it also makes sense to work in a project that actually, utilize your time in a project that actually pays you off. Like monetarily pays you
Of
off.
course, if you're sure that they're not going to pay you, you abandon it. But it's never that clear, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we'll pay you. Sorry, we are expecting our funds to come. We're selling another property. That deal is not gone through. So we don't have enough money to pay you. It's usually that kind of a story. Of course, if I know somebody has decided not to pay me, I'm not going to be that stupid to continue working. But I'm working because I'm hoping that they're going to pay me. Do I have the luxury as a young architect to pull the plug?
If yes, then do it.
If I have 10 projects, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my only project. I'm going to hope that he'll pay me.
That's right. Okay.
So it again comes down to your personality. Are you sort of a risk taker? And are you one of those, like, it is perfectly right for somebody to say, I didn't get paid. I'm not going to do one more line for you. Perfectly fine. I don't see how in any capitalism, dictionary or value book, you can say that's wrong. If I go to a hairdresser and I ask him to cut my hair and say I don't have money, he's going to stop right there, like cut two sides and leave it.
Yeah.
Hello. If I go to a restaurant and say I want a dosa, but by the way,
I don't have
I
any.
have money, he'll stop making the dosa.
Yeah.
So what gives you the right to think that an architect should keep drawing when you don't pay? Of course, no way you can justify that. But if you hope that the client is going through rough times and it'll come eventually, you do it. Or if you say he's paid me 50%, I'm going to spend another 50% on my own, but I'll get a project that will stand on the ground on this center of the city and people will see it and they'll find out who it is. You know what? It's okay. I'll take the risk because it will help me garner more business.
Yeah. So basically it boils down to situation, and you have to weigh your options.
Absolutely. It's like anything in life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Great conversation. And I have learned a lot. I hope our listeners learn a lot from you. I hope you enjoyed the conversation because I enjoyed like anything.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about these things. Again, disclosure, forewarning, and no expert at business. My fundamental belief is put your head down, do great work,
Yeah.
follow. Again, easier said than done.
Yeah. Still, you have to be beware of where you are functioning as an architect. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Do all the things like when you're crossing a road. I mean, do both sides. You can't just walk.
yeah,
Because I'm passionate about something I see on the other side. But if you don't cross, you won't see. Go to the other side.
that's also true. Yeah.
You have to be cautious. You have to take, I mean, in business, it's funny coming from me, but in business, the risks are always proportional to the rewards.
Yes.
The best businessmen are great risk takers. When a client is not paying, what you see that instinct that fundamentally this guy is a nice guy, at some point he'll pay me. Even if I don't get paid on this project is so visible that I will catapult into another level. It's a risk. Risk you're taking. If I sit here in a podcast and tell you, client doesn't pay you, stop the work. Hello, how are you going to feed yourself?
Yes.
If you don't have the optimism.
Yeah.
So I know it's very good. I think some people will tell you, oh, that architect is full of shit. He was telling us to take risks. But that's what life is. You have to cross the road. If you're scared that the bus will hit you, you'll never cross the road.
That's right. That's how you learn anything.
A leap of faith. Yeah. There's enough good people on the planet. There are enough good people that you will.
Yeah.
If you do good work, you will be recognized.
That's the last food for thought. Yeah. That's the last food of thought you want to leave our viewers with.
Yeah.
Okay, Diwakar. That's great.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found Converse valuable, you can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and Spotify. You can find all past episodes and know more about us on Insyd.ai. See you in the next episode.